Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and in this video I'm going to be talking about Leviathan Falls, Book 9 of the Expanse, originally published in 2021 by Orbit Books, written by James S.A. Corey, clocking in at 518 pages. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the softcover edition. So here is my physical copy of Leviathan Falls. Now, what I like about the Expanse books is I find these softcovers very comfortable to read. I like the size and the dimensions of them. And they lay open really nice. So they're really comfortable to read. Not only that, I love the cover art on these books. They have these really cool sci-fi paintings on them, digital paintings. And also the spines look really good. Here's the back of the book. And these books look really cool on the bookshelf when they're all lined up next to each other. So that is my physical copy of Leviathan Falls, the final book in the Expanse series. It is the last stand for humanity when the dark gods of the ring gates start to move against humankind. Winston Duarte awakens from his semi-catatonic state and then vanishes. Admiral Trejo decides that for the future of the Laconian Empire, Duarte must be found. He assigns Colonel Eliana Tanaka to find Duarte and to use any means necessary to bring him back. Tanaka decides to find Duarte's daughter and use her to lure Duarte back. This brings her on a collision course with the Rosinante and her crew, which Duarte's daughter is now a part of. With humanity on the brink of extinction by the Ringgate entities, it seems Winston Duarte may be the only one that can save them all. Will it be for the good of humanity, or does Winston Duarte and the proto-molecule have plans for the human race all their own? Will the aging crew and their aging ship, the Rossi, be able to stop them? So a bit about my background with this series as a whole before I talk about this book. So this is a series I've been reading for over 10 years now. And the first book, Leviathan Wakes, I found out about that through the Science Fiction Book Club, through a catalog they had sent me. I tried to order it through them, but they had gone out of business at that point, and so I couldn't get it through them, and I actually wanted to start collecting these books as hardcovers. But by the time I got around to getting my hands on Leviathan Wakes, it was only out in softcover at that point. So from that point on, I've just collected them in their softcover editions so they can be more uniform looking on my bookshelf. So I have to say, overall, this has been a really good science fiction series to follow and read over the years, and it's kind of nice that I started out from the beginning and followed it as each book comes out, because I think to jump on board this series now would feel pretty intimidating because it is a large series. It is 9 books. Now on to the final book and what I thought about it. So I'll discuss some of the things I liked about this book and some of the things I didn't like about this book. So I'll start off with some of the things I like. So all the characters get very satisfactory send-offs in this book. That's one thing I really liked about it. They wrap up all the characters, I think, in a very satisfactory way. It's a very, very good ending. So I don't feel like I'm going to need these characters to come back. Like, their stories have been told, they've been fleshed out, they've had really good send-offs. You don't need to bring them back again. And this is something I'm having more and more of an appreciation of, is when a series has a really good solid ending and the characters don't come back. Just leave it as it is, because it seems like nowadays when something does have a really good ending, a few years down the road they have to bring it back, bring those characters back, and then they end up kind of ruining those characters, and then it kind of undoes the original ending that was in place for these characters. So I really hope this is really the end for this series, because it ended in a very satisfactory way. Also, the other thing I really liked about this book was one of my favorite characters from the previous books. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's one of my favorite characters of the series as a whole actually returns for this book. And it's a character that hasn't been seen for a while in these books. And it was kind of cool to see them come back. And I was kind of wondering if that character was going to come back for this final book, but I'm really glad they did bring back that character. Not only that, talking of characters that have very satisfactory send-offs, the character of Alex had a much, much better ending in this book series than in the TV series. Now, I know the TV series was a little bit different because all the things that was going on with that actor at the time, but the character really didn't have a good exit out of the storyline. Where in the book, it's much, much more satisfactory. The character of Alex is really done justice, which I've always maintained what they should have done in the TV series. Instead of just jettisoning the character outright, they should have just recasted the character. That's just my personal opinion. Again, the final ending, like the very last chapter of this book, is very good. I really liked it. They really put a button on it. That's all I could say. It was a very satisfying ending to the book overall, and just a very satisfying ending to a series of this size. I felt very satisfied with the ending. But now we'll get into some of the things I didn't like. Now, I have to say, one of the things I didn't like about this book is it has a very good ending, but everything leading up to that ending in the book, I thought didn't quite grab me as the other books, the previous two books, Persepolis Rising and Tiamat's Wrath. Two of those books I really, really liked. And the way this series kind of seems to have shaped up to me is it is a trilogy of trilogies, if that makes sense. So the first three books kind of form their own trilogy. Then you have like a middle trilogy, and then you have this final trilogy that kind of really deals with the Laconian Empire trilogy. That's what I kind of call the last three books. And the first two books in that trilogy, this final trilogy of books, was very good. I really liked those books. I really loved the whole idea of the Laconian Empire and how they reverse engineered all this alien technology and had these unstoppable warships. To me, it just brought the series to a whole new level. And I personally really liked it. Now, as I was reading this book, it just didn't grab me the same way the other two books. So I was somewhat disappointed in that. And the other thing I didn't like, for the size of the book, it felt like not a lot was happening. I was reading the book, and then I realized I was almost 400 pages in. I was like, I mean, a few things happened, some action did happen, but for the most part, not a lot really has happened yet. And we're getting kind of to the end. I'm thinking, well, this is going to end soon. Like, something's got to happen here. So I felt that a lot, like the book kind of dragged, in my opinion, compared to some of the other books. Now, there has been other books in the series that I kind of felt like dragged a lot, like this one. I was kind of hoping this one was going to be just a grand slam, like the first two books in this trilogy, books 7 and 8. So that I was kind of disappointed with. Now, this next complaint really doesn't have anything to do with the story, but I'm going to complain about it here anyway, is that the softcover edition for this book, Leviathan Falls, took a very long time to come out. So long, I was almost going to break down and buy the hardcover edition, but I really wanted the softcover edition because all the books in this series, they're all softcover editions, and I just kind of like that uniform look on my bookshelf when it comes to my books. I can't stand it when you got like a mix, hodgepodge look of books and they're all supposed to be in the same series. That's what I like about these books. They all look very uniform on the bookshelf and they all look very nice. The only outlier is I do have a hardcover edition of Leviathan Wakes, and that was the 10-year anniversary one that came out. But that was a different case because it's a special edition. So those are some of the things I didn't like about the book. Now, as for like my final thoughts on this book, now, like I said, I found the book kind of dragged, the story kind of dragged. It didn't seem like a lot happened. But when it gets to the end, the final showdown in this book, I thought it was really satisfying, and I really liked it, and it made up for the shortcomings that I thought the rest of the book had. It really caps off the characters really well, and it really ends things in a very good spot, and I thought it was very well done, and it was a very satisfying ending. Should you read this book? Yes, you absolutely should. You've probably already read it if you're into this series, and if you haven't read it yet and you've read all the other 8 books, I can't see that you're not going to read the final book in the series. It's just not going to happen. Now, should you get into this series if you haven't read any of these books? Yeah, you absolutely should. You should get into that. You should get into that series, but that's a whole separate video if you should get into the series or not. So I'll say it again. Great ending to this series. Now, this is not the final book. Technically, it's the last book, but there is one more book in the series. It is a 10-book series because they did do Memories Legion, and that's the collection of the Expanse short stories. That one I have on my bookshelf, but I haven't read it yet, but intend to in the near future. So that's everything I have to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.